Assalamu'alaykum, brothers. We start off by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to come here and for all the blessings that He has bestowed on us, and salutation to the Rasul sallAllaahu'alayhi. Before, as the brother said, today's topic is Dhul Hijjah, and as the brother pointed out, not many people know what. They might have heard of it, but they don't know the importance of it or how it links to them. And we see that growing up in this society and getting the information from, not the Islamic information we require from the daily access that we have, like schools, colleges, TVs and stuff like that. It's not just with the youth, but it's with the elders as well. These sort of days, these sort of events are gone from our mind. All we know is Eid. The 2 Eids, that's it. That's all we know, because it's fundamental, it's the day of celebration for us. We learn about these other days. But in Islam, unlike these other religions, one thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done for us, and I'll compare it to, maybe you brothers are a bit young to realize this, but back in I remember just a few years ago as well, when you used to go to work, there used to be certain days throughout your working life that you got a pay and a half. Certain days, if you went in and worked on those days, the reward for working on those days were better than the reward working for any other day. So if you went in, it was usually like Saturdays, Sundays, bank holidays, Christmas days. If you went in and worked on those days when no one else wanted to work, you got extra reward for it. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this same opportunity in our daily life. So we have, certain days throughout the week which are more beloved or more rewardful than other days. But we also have certain months throughout the year which are more rewardful than other months. So who could tell me an important day throughout the week? An important day.
Friday.
Yawm al-Jum'ah. This day, Friday, out of the 7 days, is the most important day. Friday. Who could tell me an important month? Ramadan. So we have a basic understanding of what months are, but then there are days, months, and then there are certain periods of.
Laylatul
Qadr falls under Ramadan, but it is a separate thing on its own, but we'll stick to just, that again, that is a special night in itself. So again, we get these days scattered around, as the brother mentioned, as well, Laylatul Qadr. And when we do work, or when we do actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, the reward is great. And when we do actions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has recommended, when I say love, I mean the Fardh prayers and stuff like that, sticking to what Allah has made compulsory upon us, the reward is greater. But then when we do actions that are recommended for us, but Allah loves also, like the sunnahs, we get a higher reward on those days as well. And coming up, just a few days left, on the 17th, inshallah, it depend on, again, the monthly calendar is dependent on the moon sighting. But from what they've estimated, 17th, it could be, the brother said 16th. It could be 16, okay, fair enough. Last time I checked on the calendar I've got, it said 16 is because it's to do with the moon sighting. That will become the first of the 12, 1933. It is the last month of the Islamic calendar. It is known as Dhul Hijjah. And the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are blessed. Who could tell me a great event that happens on Dhul Hijjah?
Is it the 25th of December or something?
No, nothing to do with December. That's the Gregorian calendar. What is the great event that happens in Dhul Hijjah? It's one of the fundamental pillars of Islam, one of the 5 pillars.
Hajj.
Hajj. Hajj is in this month. Hajj is in this month, and we see 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, these are Hajj days. And that alone could show you that the month itself is significant. But not only that, this month or these certain days within that month, to take the month, that certain days within the month have been mentioned in the Qur'an, as the brother mentioned in Surah Al-Fajr. And as the brother mentioned also, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by something, that thing automatically is important. But what is to follow after that is also important. But you know, we might think, what do you mean by swear? Like, we give the example, we always do it as well. I swear this happened, I swear down. We swear on down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears on, you know, these great events. So we do it also as well to show importance of the action or what is to follow. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here mentions this, as the Prophet said, by the dawn. He swears by dawn. And then he goes on to say, by the 10 nights. And many pious predecessors and many of the people after them who delved into the knowledge of tafsir and stuff like that, some of the great names like Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, and the later ones like Ibn Kathir, you could get his whole collection, who have gone into the sort of interpretation of the meanings of the Qur'an, and they have all come to agreement that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the 10 days, He's talking about the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So these 10 days are mentioned in the Qur'an, just like Laylatul Qadr. But there is according to Ibn Abbas as well, in Al-Hajj, Surah Al-Hajj, the verse that they may witness benefits for themselves and mention the name of Allah on known days. Those days, according to Ibn Abbas, are the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So we find that this is been mentioned again in the Qur'an. Just by it being mentioned in the Qur'an shows its importance. But then there are sayings of our great master, the Rasul sallAllaahu'alayhi, where it's reported by Ibn Umar that the Rasul sallAllaahu'alayhi said, there is no day more honorable in Allah's sight and no acts more beloved therein to Allah than those 10 days. So repeat frequently La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, and Alhamdulillah. As the hadith is pretty clear, you know, those 10 days are so beloved and so more honorable that there's, as the Rasul says, no other days are more honorable like these. But there is another hadith reported by Ibn Abbas, and this for me is like, it just, you know, after hearing this, it motivates you to, you know, even do the smallest of actions during these days. The report goes as, no good deed done on these days are superior to those done. No good deed done on other days are more superior than those done on these days. And someone asked, one of the companions asked the Rasul, even jihad, is it even greater than jihad? And the Rasul said, even jihad, doing good deed on that day is greater than even jihad, unless someone goes out with himself and all his wealth and come back with nothing, meaning he's martyred. The only thing greater than doing something great on this day is martyrdom. But that right there shows you that we're not talking about doing set actions, we're talking about doing good deeds. What are the things that the Rasul recommended for us? Alhamdulillah, these are dhikr. Doing dhikr is for us greater than jihad on these days. But it carries on. It just, you know, the rewards of these days doesn't stop just there. So it carries on. Abu Qatada reported fasting on the day of Arafah. Arafah falls within the Hajj period. It's the 9th. Fasting on the day of Arafah will eliminate 2 years of sin. 2 years of sin. One for the previous year and one for the following year. The year you haven't even lived. It will forgive. Fasting on Arafah will forgive the sins of the year you haven't even lived. But this is not done by people who are going Hajj. So inshallah, brothers, if you're going Hajj, you don't keep this fast on Arafah. It's for those who are not going on Hajj. It's for people like myself who will be at home. So this is just a taster of some of the evidences from Qur'an and Sunnah on this day, on Dhul Hijjah. And for even for myself, coming across this for the first time and reading it, coming from a background of not knowing too much about Islam, not knowing too much about the days and the nights of Islam, the recommended days and nights, this was a big thing. This was like, you could probably, in my mind, it's like you could enter Jannah just from these 10 days, inshallah, Allah will.
Sure.
Look how precious those 10 days are. It forgives you of your sins before, it forgives you of your sins that are to come, and the reward is just so great that even jihad struggles to compare with it. But when we contemplate these days, how should we look at these? How should we look at these 10 days? Just like we look at Ramadan, we go fast, and people give examples of it's like a booster period. That's why we have certain days. Friday's a booster period. But unlike Ramadan, where there's a fasting obligated upon you, you have to fast, you're struggling, then you break your fast, then there's Taraweeh. So Ramadan, even though it's the blessed month, it has certain actions that one must fulfill. But these 10 days compared to Ramadan, I'm not comparing the two, not like that. They're both great months, but they're both great rewardful events we should try to follow. But Dhul Hijjah, the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, with this much immense reward, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's all left to you. You do what is necessary for you in your capability to earn the reward of those 10 days. And some of the actions that we go through, some of the actions are like, I'm reading examples of smiling to a brother. Because remember, like we said, there's no line drawn of this is what you have to do and this is just extra. Everything is good deed. Everything according to Islam that you do is good deed. Being kind to your mother, feeding the poor, breaking the fast of someone that's fasting with water, with food. Just having kind words with a brother, kind words with a neighbor, being kind words with someone at school, college, attending Islamic circles, reading Qur'an. These are some of the things that, is obviously some of those are more rewardful than others, but anything will work. But there are other things that are given for those days that are recommended by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which are, and one given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the Hajj. Doing the Hajj on, is, they say when you do Hajj and you do it sincerely, you must, is part of belief, you must believe Allah has forgiven you of every sin you have committed. You must believe it. You cannot come back having doubts that Allah might have not forgiven you. If you have done it sincerely to the best of your capability, then you must. If you don't, you fall out of belief. You must believe Allah has forgiven every one of your previous sins. You are clean. You have come back without any sin. Any sin. That is the reward of Hajj. None whatsoever. Being 26, I've done a lot of things to even contemplate going Hajj and coming back, and everything forgiven, everything. You come back fresh, like a brand new baby. But then you have the mind the baby doesn't have of improving on those. Again, Umrah. Umrah as well is something great. Umrah can be done before Hajj. You do Umrah. Umrah can be done after Hajj, not during the Hajj period. Umrah could be done throughout the year. But again, these are special days, so if Umrah should be done pretty much before Hajj. It's recommended to do Hajj before Hajj and then do Umrah, then do Hajj. But it said if you do one Umrah and back it up with another Umrah, this is the importance of Umrah, everything in between is forgiven. Everything in between the two Umrahs is forgiven. This is the reward of Umrah as well. But remember, we're talking about these days amplify the reward. So if you do these, your rewards are amplified. But Allah knows best. And Allah doesn't break a promise, and Allah doesn't, take lightly the rewards He will give you. Other things one can do is fast on Arafah, the day of Arafah. Like I said, if you're not someone that is doing Hajj, fast on Arafah. It's on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. The 9th of Dhul Hijjah. And if you're counting from the 16th, you can count and you find out the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Fasting on Arafah, as we spoke already. The other one I want to touch up on was the one recommended in the hadith. The tasbih. The tasbih, yeah. This is something recommended by the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as we saw in the hadith. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah. Those are the three words, or three statements or phrases. I don't know which one. Not good at English. Anyway, look how small these are. Look how small they are compared to the things we do. You could do that at any moment, apart from when you're in the room. Any moment, sitting, standing, going somewhere. If you're going somewhere, you're by yourself. Tasbih. You don't even need one of them tasbihs. You got your fingers. It's grooved out. It's easy for you. How? There's nothing there, that's complicated. 33, there's 1, 2, 3 grooves, 1, 2, 3 grooves. If you do it 10 times.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
This is 11 times. We do 11 times. That's as simple as it is, doing that. If you think about at what points you could do it in your life, you'd be amazed. You could literally, as you're sitting here, do it. As you're waiting for me coming because I was late, you could have done it. As you're going home today, you could do it. When you sit just before you go to sleep, you could do it. It doesn't need no electrical equipment, doesn't need to be paid any bills, doesn't need to be charged up, it doesn't need any exterior equipment to it. You don't need to go out of your way. It's there like that. And this is something recommended by the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One of the other big ones, obviously praying your salahs. The fara'id salahs has to be prayed throughout the year. But then it's recommended to take salah to the next step as well. Tahajjud prayer. The other recommended nafila prayers, like you could do, if you didn't know about nafila prayers, go find out. There's loads of nafila, doing 2 after wudu, 2 before entering the masjid. There's one waiting after fajr, one waiting before midday. It just goes on and on. So many opportunities for us to take and amplify so throughout the year, but again, these years will amplify these things that we do. amplified to a point where, you know, the rewards, we will never be able to count with our hand. Something more precious than, as the Rasul said, jihad. Then recitation of Qur'an. As we know, there's a hadith, or paraphrase, reading Qur'an, you get reward for each letter. Each letter, you get reward for. Again, I didn't paraphrase that, I apologize. I just made it, I just said it in my own way. Each letter gives you a reward.
Syllable sound.
As you know, alif, as the brother said, alif, lam, ra. Each letter gives you reward. And then you continue reading. How many letters in a line? How many lines in one page? How many pages in a chapter? How many chapters? If you calculate, literally you won't be able to calculate the reward. That's just in the Qur'an. Forget every other reward you're doing. Just in the Qur'an, reading Qur'an, you will not be able to calculate the reward. Even before these 10 days. And now imagine what you get on these 10 days. And never underestimate the Qur'an. Never think it's just a book. It's not just a book. This is the defense. This is one of your first lines of defense. Is the Qur'an, the tilawat of Qur'an. Not just reading it, but understanding it as well. You see that reading will just be ample, but understanding it will take you to a higher level. Reading things like tafsir, reading translations, you see that when you start understanding some of the things, like when you understand this surah at the beginning, Al-Fajr, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in Al-Fajr, mentions those Dhul Hijjah, when we said when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by something, what is to follow is going to be great. When you read these and you start understanding it, once you start praying, you see that it affects you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those who hoard money and wealth. Watch what happens when a day comes when Allah will arrive, Allah will come with row upon row of angels. These are some of the things that were within that. But once you start reading it and listening and understanding, reading Qur'an, you see that the effect you have for your salah and your other actions. And there is another one, we've all heard of it, Qurbani. We call it Qurbani, it's always pretty much Qurbani anyway.
I heard of Qurbani somewhere, but I don't really know the definition of that. What happened during that time?
It's from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam
sacrifice.
and Ismail alayhi salam.
It's the thing that they do in Eid.
Yeah.
I know about the story. What would you?
Let's bring about this inshallah ta'ala. I think after that, the week after that, in order for everyone to understand, we will talk on that inshallah ta'ala, yeah?
So yeah, Qurbani in his essence is just the dhob of the animal, sacrifice of an animal, and feeding of the poor and whatnot. This is Qurbani. Everyone, obviously, as the brother said, you could touch up on what Qurbani is in a more greater sense. To be honest, loads of these things need to be touched up on its own great in-depth talk. This can't, to be honest, I'll literally, you cannot cover anything like that. Like Hajj, Umrah, these things need to be looked at in itself. There is a precaution if you are doing Qurbani. I know some of your brothers are young, so it's more probably going for the camera and for the brothers here. It's just going to be, if you have made intention of giving Qurbani, as soon as Dhul Hijjah starts, as soon as you see the new moon of Dhul Hijjah, you should stop cutting your nails and the hair of your body. You should stop cutting your nails and the hair of the body until you give him Qurbani, and then you can start, cutting your nails and. Yeah. This is one of the prerequisites of Qurbani. But these are just some of the things that you could do, some of the things that recommended and extra actions. So we see that number one, this day we mentioned the Qur'an, mentioned in Sunnah, mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioned by the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. and we automatically know the importance of something when Allah and His Rasul sallAllaahu'alayhi mention these things. But not only that, we find out that these days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Qur'an and Sunnah is something that not only makes our reward, earning of reward, reach a new height. Not only do you earn more, like we said, when you work and you do pay and a half, you get more. Same way, these days you get more. So you go out there and take all the reward you could grab. But not only that, not only does it give you reward these 10 days, but it forgives the sins that you have done before. So as we know, sins and rewards weigh each other out like a balance. So now think about what you're doing. On your right side you have the reward, and on your left you have your sins. These days, not only do they accumulate more reward, but they decrease your sins. The sins you have already committed, they decrease them. So you get more reward and less sin. But not only that, the sins that you are going to commit are gone as well. If you fast and all that, the sins that you're going to commit as well are gone as well. They're wiped out. So think about the exchange you are making on these 10 days. And sit down and think about how easy it is, because there's no prerequisite, there's no set standard things you have to do. You think about what is good, what is Allah like, what makes it easy, and let's do these things. Let's move forward. Let's do these things in concentrated periods, and let's earn that reward. Let's make that scale on the right side greater than the scale on my left side. Because at the end of the day, that right side, I'm saying right, sorry, I know it's not, I don't know how to balance, but that earning the deeds of the balance will be what, you know, ultimately is the key to your success. So I just want to leave you with that understanding, that even though you're at a young age, this is the moment where you earn those deeds. Get them forgiven, start fresh, get your sins forgiven in the future, and earn those rewards. Wa akhiru da'wana, alhamdulillah.